Okay, I'm going to do a simple project here. There's probably a million videos out there showing how to do this, but everyone's wanting more content. But this is a hot pad that I sewed up a couple of years ago. You can see how damaged it is, been burnt. So my wife has much smaller hands than I do, so I think I'm going to make one. This one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.5. So it's 5.5 by 5.5. I'm probably going to make this one 5 or 6, probably 6 inches by about 4 inches. So she can't get this part down so close to the fire, and we'll try that and see if it works out for her. But anyway, all you need is, I've got some scrap fat quarter fabric. Looks like I did a test on my, setting the timing on my industrial cover stitch machine when I did this. Anyway, so it was a test. But just any scrap fabric that you have, you can buy fat quarters. You can get them actually at some of the Walmart stores, and if you've got a Joann that hasn't gone out of business, you can get them there too. So, but anyway, just get some quilter's cotton. I've got cotton thread set up in my machine, and so I'll show you how to do this. I don't put binding on it or anything. I basically just sew around it, leave a little opening to put the insulation in, and I use two things. This is Insabrot. You can get it just about anywhere, and it repels heat and cold. So I use a layer of this, and then I use a layer of this padded quilter's filling kind of material. I don't even know what this is called. I picked it up years ago. I've had it in my stash, and I pretty much only use it for this. So anyway, you can usually find this in quilting shops and stuff for filling, and it's cotton also. So we'll cut these to go inside of this, and let me get this cut out real quick. And I'm not going to do it on camera because it's just cutting the square in all three of these, and then we'll sew it up, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay guys, I've got my fabric cut out. So these are 5 by 7. We're going to use 1/2 inch seam allowances, and I went around the very edge and pinked the fabric with the shears, keep it from fraying. This one side was already serged, so I didn't have to do it. These are an inch shorter, so this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 by 1, 2, 3, 4. So both of these are 4 by 6. These are 5 by 7. So once we sew this up, with leaving a little opening, I'll probably leave an opening about that big to stuff everything in. But anyway, I'll come around, sew all the way around, and leave the opening so we can get this stuffed inside, and then we'll close it up by top stitching all the way around the edge. And I'm going to draw lines on here for quilting to make it easier. For those of you that have trouble with straight lines, I'd suggest you doing that. So I generally don't have to do it. I kind of know how to keep my eye out on it, but I'll go ahead and do it on this to show you how to do that. And so I'm going to draw a line across here, and then I'll come about every inch and draw here and back across here at the 45-degree angle roughly. So let me do that real quick, and I'll show you those results. And I'm not going to do it on camera. Again, just take a ruler with a white chalk line and draw across it is all I'm going to do. You can also use one of those erasable pens. You have to be careful with those sometimes though. Sometimes they don't come all the way out, so I just use chalk. So let me do that, and I'll show you the results, and then we'll get together and start sewing it up. Okay, I've got my lines drawn here, across here, in this direction, and then back this way in this direction. So this will be my top piece that I use as my guide for sewing, doing the quilting over this. So what I'll do now, we'll get sewing on the machine. I've got it threaded with just white thread. We'll put these two pieces together and sew it up, and then we'll insert this. So let me get the machine over here and get it set up, get the camera repositioned where you can see what I'm doing, which is fairly simple. Oh, and the other thing too, this is a Dritz pen that has chalk in it, and these are very handy. So I'll go ahead and put an Amazon Associates link on this video as to where to get it, and you can look it up and see if it's priced fairly, or sometimes I find you can find things cheaper than on Amazon, but I'll put it on there for your convenience if you want to get one of these. But anyway, it's very handy because it does a very fine line compared to my big chalk pieces, tailoring chalk pieces that I use, so I like using it on these kind of jobs. So anyway, see if you can find it, and I suggest getting one of them. Okay, let me get the machine set up and we'll get started with the sewing. Okay, got the fabric under the foot of the machine, and I'm going to do 1/2 inch seam allowances on this, so get going here. Tell you what, I'm going to start on this edge where my opening is going to be, so make sure my fabric is all lined up, those pinked edges. Alright, we're going to come down here a little ways and start. Get on my 1/2 inch mark. On this machine, they've got 3/8 and 5/8 marked, so 1/2 inch is not marked on it, so you got to kind of find the spot. Come down just a little bit further. Okay, here we go. Let's get started. Go ahead and get the needle down. Take a stitch, do a lock stitch. This machine offers it. Get this going with my needle down. So here we go. Sewing with a stitch length of 2.5 millimeters. So make sure I stop on my 1/2 inch mark here. Let's see if I'm there. Nope, I'm on 5/8. Take one more stitch and I should be there. There we are. We're on our 1/2 inch mark. See if I hit my 1/2 inch mark again. And I did. Inch mark again, go down this side. And we're on the 1/2 inch there, so now we'll come down and leave our opening right here to put everything in. Stitch off. Go ahead and do a couple of back stitches. Make sure it's good and strong. And cut our thread. Okay, now we have the opening. Let me find my regular scissors. Okay, so we have our opening right here to put the stuffing in. So I'll cut my thread, and we'll do that real quick, and then we'll close this thing up and we turn it right side out. And my opening's pretty small. I'm going to go ahead and cut these corners Makes it easier to get the corners nice and sharp. And I'm going to cut off the leading edge a little bit. Now I'm going to go ahead and paint down the seam allowances a bit. You can cut this where you just have like a 3/8 of an inch seam if you want to. So I'll just do this so I can come back and pink everything, keep it from fraying. I'm not going to cut it off there. I want that to fold under nicely, so alright, got that done. Now we're going to take this and fold it to that sewed line on both sides so that when we turn it to the other side it lines up evenly. So let me get over to my pressing table and press this real quick, and I'll come back and we will actually do the stuffing on this, but let me do that real quick and I'll be right back. Alright, I got this pressed. So I've got my thing here that I use for my point turner, dulled the end of it so it doesn't poke a hole in anything. So now we're going to come through here and turn this right side out. So I go to the corner and pull it through, go to this corner, push it through, come to this corner down here, push it through, and then this corner is the last one here, and voila. Now I'll just take this, start pushing out my corners. Okay, got that one good. Run it along the seam allowance there to poke it out. Got that one out. Got that one out. And this will be the last one, and we should be ready to stuff this puppy. Alright, I've already got my edges pressed, and it's important that I get these pulled out all the way to the seam. So I can look at my pressing job and it's going out a little bit, so I'm going to have to repress it, make it go in just a bit. So let me do that real quick and I'll be back and we will stuff this inside here. So be right back. Okay, I had to open this up just a little bit more on each side so I could stuff it easier, and so we've turned it right side out now. So we're going to fold this way, this way, and I've got my opening big enough now where it's easier to get it in there. So it's about a 3.5 inch opening, so leave 3.5 to 4 inches open, and it'll make it much easier to get this in. Tell you what, I was looking at that and it's a little bit too thick, so I'm going to trim these off a little bit. So let me get a cutter. Because I need a little bit more room, so take about 1/4 of an inch off on this one. About 1/4 of an inch on this end. Kind of a skinny quarter. And then do the same thing on this one. Go ahead and put that on it, use it as the guide so we get the same amount on each side. Alright, that should help. And you can see there now we got enough room to get it in there and just a little bit of leeway on the edge. So I would do that if I were you. Once you sewed this up and pressed it, it gets a little bit smaller than what you thought. And press that in. Alright, here we go. Take it all the way to the end. I'm going to fold this one out. Get this one folded out too. So I'll start centering it, getting it lined up. And this is more of a feel process. You unfold it, get it down here in the corner. Then run your finger across and get it in that corner. And then turn it over and do the other side. And then push this back to get it to the corner. And then you see why we had to trim it. It would have been too big. Head down there. Alright. Got it nice and flat. Now we'll take this piece. This is thinner than what you think it is. It's fairly thin and light, but it does help with the insulation. Okay, get that in. Need to move it over this way a little bit so it's all centered. So go down in that corner, go down in this corner, and then I may have to adjust it either left or right depending on how far I'm off. Too far down here, it's rolling up on that seam. Alright, there we go. Alright, a little fold right here I need to get rid of. So it means it needs to be pushed back this way. Get rid of the fold. Thing doesn't want to move back. Okay, now it's getting flattened out. Put that along that seam good and flat. There we go. Alright. There it is. So now all we have to do is sew this seam up. I'm going to go ahead and trim this piece right here a little bit so it doesn't get caught in the seam. So it just needs to have a little bit trimmed off. There we go. Alright, now I'll get that pushed back and we can sew the edges up together. If you want to keep this perfectly lined up, you can come in with a little bit of glue and glue it. That'll wash away school glue will do that, but I'm just going to hold it. And but first I've got to do my stitching, cross stitching on it, quilting in other words. So let me get the machine back around here and get it set up, and we'll do that. I'm going to go ahead and do the stitch around the edge to close this edge up first, and then I'll come do my cross stitches for the quilting effect on it. So let's see if I can find my thread. Here it is. Okay, I'm going to start about right here, and I'm going to go right along the edge. So, get my first stitch in, lock my stitch, and here we go. Trying to stay right on the edge. Sometimes you may go just a tad off. Well, it may appear like it's off, but it may not be, so you have to kind of double check it. Okay, that'll get me on the edge on that side. Yep, I stayed on the edge. Okay, here we go on this edge. Doesn't have to be perfect, it's just a hot pad, so. Okay, there's that edge. Okay, got that one. And we'll get this one. Looks like I can go one more half stitch. Let's see what it does. Yeah, need to back up just a tad. There we go. Okay, that'll be in the edge. come down here and end this up. Okay, got our thread cut. Clean up any of these loose threads here. Easier said than done. That little piece doesn't want to stand up. There we go. Alright, now we're going to do our stitches across. So, see if I can still see this. So this will be the first one. Go right to the tip, back stitch, cut our thread. Okay, we've got that first one done. Now I'm going to speed this up a little bit. We're just going to go across here, here, and then back across. So this gets a little bit boring, so I'll try to speed it up and get you through it. Okay, I've got it cross stitch here, kind of quilted, and you can see it's fairly easy to do. You don't have to bind or anything in this technique. Just sew around the edge to lock the edge down, and then do the quilting, and it'll come out just fine. So this one's from a lot smaller hands, so she can either use it this way or this way, and hopefully it'll keep her from burning it. Okay guys, that's it. Let me know if you have any questions or not, and I'll be happy to answer them.